Hello to everyone in the internet. It is currently Friday, December 7th. I am Nathan of Washington, and you are watching The Young Globalist. And this is the news. Alright folks, so Nanci Pelosi has rejected Trump's DACA deal, which was intended to help fund the border wall. Like, from what I understand, the deal is basically sort of meeting her halfway, meeting the Democrats halfway. Not totally eliminating DACA, just pulling back the funding in order to try and get some money for the wall. Right? I would call this an improvement. DACA would allow children, would still allow children who were brought over by their parents illegally, who've only ever known this country as their home, even though they were not legal. But they wouldn't get any special benefits. They'd have to work their ass off just like everybody else. Which I think is a wonderful compromise. And that could also free up some money for the border wall. I mean, I think she's crazy for rejecting this deal. Trump was meeting her halfway, very reasonable. But no, you know, Pelosi's got to be the typical Democrat, toe the party line. But you know what? Having a wall would be great. And continuing DACA would be great. Just a stripped back, less intrusive version of DACA would be great. Would be wonderful. But no. Reasonability is not in the Democrats' vocabulary. For this idea, for this very thing, Trump was not just being a good president, he was being a good guy. Because this deal, you know, giving that extra money that DACA doesn't deserve or need for wall money, and still have DACA be a thing. Favor for favor, man. I mean, I will let DACA still be a thing, and you will give money for the wall. That wall will be big, beautiful, and wonderful. You just wait and see there, Miss Democratic person Nanci Pelosi. Like, no, of course not, though. She rejects it, like they all do. Oh, stupid Democrats don't know what the hell they're doing. He's trying to get that wall built as part of his contract with America. That was one of his campaign promises, and they're blocking him from it. Bunch of assholes. Moving on. Rand Paul, the son of libertarian genius Ron Paul, has put on hold a $38 billion military aid to Israel. You know, a bill that would give $38 billion to Israel. Modern-day Israel is not the original Israel. Modern-day Israel is a country that we built, that America built, and are still building. But you know what? The Middle East is none of our business. We did our part. We gave the Jews a place to be. Now it's up to them to build it, not us. We gave them a place to be, now it's their job to build themselves up. They are becoming too dependent on us. And while Rand is not as smart as his father, Ron Paul, he definitely has his heart in the right place, at least. He's definitely got his heart in where it belongs. But no, the Middle East, not even Israel, should be any of our business. We built Israel, we created it, but it was not created for us. It was given to the Jews as a place for them to be, to give them their own nation. And now that it's theirs, it's up to them. We should not help others in the... I mean, what I mean is, we should help others, but we should not help them, you know, by doing absolutely everything for them. You know, we should just give them a push. Like when your kid's on the swing, do you swing the swing for them? No, you give them a push. You give them what they need and let them do the rest, is what I meant. I realized the way I said that at first sounded really bad. I'm a rambler. I'm a rambler. I am not the best I'm not the best speaker. And sure, you watch the mainstream media, you'll get better speakers, but they'll also be lying to you most of the time. I will be telling you the truth. I'll be telling it to you poorly because, again, I'm a rambler, but I'll be telling you the truth. And I'm rambling. But Rand should maybe try to convince Congress to cancel the bill altogether, especially since it has no set end date and could lead us to financial trouble. Oh, that's true. The bill itself has no actual end date set on it, so it could end up raping us up the ass if we're not careful. Sending foreign aid to Israel is probably one of the biggest drains on our economy. Like I said, we've already created Israel and gave it to the Jews. Now it's up to them to make it. We don't need to do. We shouldn't do everything for them. We should help them to the point where we give them a push, but the rest is up to them. Anyway, growth through adversity, my friends. Growth through adversity. So the UN vote to condemn Hamas violence just recently fell through. The U.S. proposed a vote into the UN chamber to condemn the violence by Hamas against Israel, because Hamas is a Palestinian group. Yeah, this was a U.S. petition. Essentially, we support Israel, but the UN blocked it. Said nope. And you know what? For once, this is one of the few things that have happened in the UN that I agree with. We already created Israel. We already gave it to the Jews. It's their little place to be. Now let's let them deal with their own problems. And let's let us deal with our problems. Unless we are asked to help, then that's different. If someone asks us to help, and it is not if it is not, too detrimental, then maybe lend a little aid. Just a push. Anyway, a 77-year-old American Catholic, there is an American Catholic Church, American Roman Catholic Church, one of their priests was caught sexually abusing 7 altar boys in the Philippines while he was in the bath with them. And he's currently being deported to the U.S. Well, hopefully he's being deported straight into prison. Wouldn't that be wonderful? It's like, doesn't matter what variety of Catholic you are, whatever country you're in, you're just always sexually abusing children, especially boys. I mean, what's with that, right? I've already told you my theory. Adult human beings have a sex drive, alright? And there is such a thing as healthy expression of a given drive. It's like pouring a liquid into a container and then putting that container under pressure, shaking it up, and then breaking it open. It just gets all released and sprays all over the place. It's the same thing. And by the way, what I just said, the imagery speaks for itself. But what I mean is, when you become sexually repressed, it eventually tries to find a way to release itself. Sometimes through violence, and sometimes through rape. That's why we get rapists. They're either haven't been able to find a partner, or they've been sexually repressed, and then they start acting out on it. And I know the Christians and cultural conservatives will be like, but random casual sex is wrong. Only after marriage. Only after marriage. Well, that kind of thinking is what creates these kinds of situations. It makes them sexually repressed, and then they act out on it. It's that kind of thinking that most likely creates all these pedo-priests. Prove me wrong. Get a professional psychologist who has not been paid by any other group, independent, not being paid a penny, so you know he's unbiased. Get him in there, or her, and prove me wrong. Get an unpaid psychologist who is professionally trained and prove me wrong. Do it. It explains everything perfectly. Everything works out. I certainly won't capitulate to any normies telling me I'm wrong. I will only capitulate to a professional. Either way, this guy deported back to the U.S. from the Philippines. Deport him straight to prison. So Trump has announced Heather Nauert as his choice for UN ambassador. The position changes up every few years. And apparently Heather Nauert, like many of Trump's choices, are, in his general circle of politicians he's known for years, people he thinks he can trust. Which is smart. So, congratulations, Heather Nauert. Trade tariffs have actually had a surprisingly beneficial effect that I don't think any of us were counting on. These tariffs on China imposed by Trump have actually been raising the trade deficit in our favor by 1.7%, or $55.5 billion, which is the highest since 2008. So thanks to Trump, our economy is currently stable, but stable is just, well, stable. That is not positive or negative. That is very gray, you know? We're in a healthy place financially, but things are still kind of rough. Anyway, moving on. The Republican Senate lines up against Trump's criminal reform bill, which, if you are not familiar, would basically make job opportunities and housing opportunities after leaving prison more affordable and more available. Because so much of the time, having a criminal record can be such a life-ending thing in this country. So much of the time. It's criminal punishment and then some. There is no equal justice in this country. Of course, it's not so much as that they're lining up against it, so much as that it's just Mitch McConnell being a fence sitter. He's a professional fence sitter. That's what he does. He's Mitch McConnell. I swear that's his job. Because every other bill, you know, he fence sits until he gets enough supporters. Might as well go ahead and call him a coward, or maybe even a pacifist. I wouldn't trust any motion with Mitch McConnell. Because he's just going to be lazy and do nothing until someone pushes him into doing something. Or maybe Trump should push him. And hard. Because this criminal reform bill would be a major, major improvement on our criminal justice system, which definitely needs a lot of improvements. Anyway, folks, that's it for the Unglobalist today. Tschüss.